At the end of the day, if regardless if you're familiar with the content, or if you know that it works, or that it's common sense, I'm helping you reiterate it and put it in a way, or at least reposition it within your communication, so that you can improve and avoid the resistance that's stopping you mentally to think that you can achieve X, Y, and Z. Do you want to know that one single thing that can either be your biggest component for success, meaning it could be your ladder to the top? You could use it, master it, remaster it, improve it, and it's a constant use. And determining on how strong you do with this particular, I would say, skill. I want to call it skill because it does help you, while at the same time it can really be your kryptonite. It can really hold you back, and it can really defeat your inner dialogue. It could defeat your relationships. It can ruin your morale. It could ruin everything around you if you are weak at this particular skill. More importantly, I believe if you develop this skill, and with this video now you put more focus on this one particular skill, you can improve everything around you. It can literally improve the quality of life that you experience. Crazy. And it's just one thing. Do you want to know what that one thing is? Stick around and watch this video. My name is Daniel. I'm your host. And in this episode, I'm going to talk about that one thing. That one thing that we all rely heavily on. That one thing that determines our success. It will catapult our failure at the same time. More importantly, it's one thing that we take home with us. It has to come home with us. And when it does come home with us, it's going to determine the strength of our relationships, right? It's going to determine the strength of our communication. And that's it. It really is communication. And I want you to think about this. Sales in itself is communication. And I hear all the time, like, hey man, I'm not in sales. Sales is not my thing. At the end of the day, sales is everything. Sales is communication. And when you think about communication, there is a reason behind the communication. And typically it has something to do with, I want ... right? And so like, if, even if I was communicating with, let's say, my wife, I want ... could be her to listen, or her to agree, or her to make this dinner, or her to choose this restaurant. There's just multiple things, right? And so ultimately that ... is a result that we all want. And the last time you communicated with someone, behind it, there was an intent behind the message. And you don't necessarily need that other person to do any particular thing. They don't need to go run or jump over, how high you want me to jump. They don't need to do anything like that. But what I'm saying is that there has to be a result behind it, maybe a personal result that you're looking for. And the reason why I want to focus on this communication is because today, in 2018, today is April 1st, Easter Sunday. Happy Easter to everyone. As a matter of fact, my friend Danny, who lives all the way on the East Coast, major supporter, one of my day oneers, right? Like from first day of inception, we connected on social media. He followed and supported the brand. He's been helping me out with topics and giving me feedback that has really helped me develop my channel. So Danny, I appreciate you, bro. And this one is for you because he brought up this one video from, I think his name's Darren Hardy. And what it had to do was time management and structure. And one of the things that he talked about on this video was how distractions is one of the leading causes of production decline, right? Like that's one of the main reasons why we as individuals, not only as companies, we as individuals lack in production because of distractions. And what Darren was talking about was social media, email, right? Mingling. And ultimately, what that's all centered around is communication. And why I point out in 2018, or why I said that, is because 2018 is just, it's this evolutional change in communication. Like with social media, with direct messaging, with, all these different forms of communication, like how I'm communicating with you right now. I may have never met you. You have never met me, but someday I hope we do meet. And someday I hope we do get a chance to see each other in person. But this is a good example. It's communication. And so I hope that this video isn't catching you at a wrong time where you're supposed to be, focused on something else, because ultimately it could be a distraction. But communication is very important nowadays, and I'm a firm believer that if you improve your ability to communicate, like how I'm sharing with you all in this on this channel, everyone thinks that it's just a loan officer sales channel. Actually, it's not. It's about human behavior. I just happen to be in real estate, and all I'm doing is sharing with you how to effectively communicate a message so that you could persuade the result and influence the action you need to generate the result you want, right? And I have just a tremendous amount of years of experience. For those of you who already know my backstory, I grew up, in a non-traditional background. I'm not your everyday person. From a young age, I needed to learn how to communicate in a way to get what I wanted. And, I didn't have the luxury of it being, necessarily handed to me, right? Like I didn't have my mom and dad who had that unconditional love to go ahead and get whatever it is you wanted. And where I'm getting at is that through my years of development, I developed these skills to communicate in a way which just ironically happened to be very close to a technique called neurolinguistic programming. And ultimately, I believe a lot of us can probably find commonalities, or at least the aha moments when you study a certain topic, or maybe when I say certain things, right? On my channel, go take a look at the videos. There might be things where you're just like, well, I already knew that, but it's just a reminder. Or, yeah, that's true, I already did that, but and if you're going through it like that and digesting it in that way where you're just like, oh, it's common sense, I already knew that. Well, if you already knew that and it's common sense, how come it's not producing the results you want? And at the end of the day, if regardless if you're familiar with the content, or if you know that it works, or that it's common sense, I'm helping you reiterate it and put it in a way, or at least reposition it within your communication, so that you can improve and avoid the resistance that's stopping you mentally to think that you can achieve X, Y, and Z. And so all I'm telling you is that in communication, if you lack communication, you're going to be weak in sales, because sales is communication. You are communicating an emotion to exchange a transaction, right? You are communicating an emotion so that the person can buy, and then you justify it through logic. But emotion plays a game, and whether it's logic or emotion, you're communicating it. And so on the flip side, if you become very great at communication, very good at communication, very good in emotional intelligence, you can communicate not just by words, not just by hearing and responding. I'm talking about communication through also like body language, eye movement, pattern recognition, video, audio, right? Text. Communication is so vague, but if you're strong within communication, you're strong with emotional intelligence and picking up emotional signs, cues, eye movements, pattern recognition, body movement, body language, tonality, right? This is all communication. When you become effective and you can do this well, and I had to do this well, my life depended on it, meaning that I grew up in the street, right? Like I used to live literally, from motel to motel. And I used to sometimes I was bumming it, but I was kicking it. I was hanging out with the wrong crowd. And this wrong crowd put me in very dangerous situations. And I'm not saying that crowd did it. I did it. I'm the one that's responsible for it, because I was influenced. And so in these situations, whether, it was in the street or confrontational situations where now looking back as an adult, my life was at risk. I wouldn't be here right now if I didn't know how to pick up on certain signs, understand body language, read or understand pattern recognition. If I didn't understand how to effectively communicate and understand communication, it would have cost me my life. And I'm not saying it's to that degree for you right now, but where I'm getting at is that how much is communication affecting you? Is communication affecting your relationship, affecting your ability to communicate with your child, your relationship as a parent, maybe your relationship as an employee? How is it affecting your sales, your ability to generate clients? How strong is your own internal communication? Like, is your communication holding you back? Is your communication pushing you forward? Right? Like maybe it could be strong. You'd be like, yo, D, I'm good, bro. my communication game is on point. I'm okay. And if that's you right now, hey, high five you. But I know that a lot of us, including myself, was at a point where the communication was just the thing that you really needed to work on. To this day, I need to work on it. You know, I'm not perfect or anything. And so, but I did notice that really, in all essence, there's that one thing that can either be your anchor or it could be your ladder. You know, it can really be your roadblock or it could be your detour. Speaking of which, I did an episode or a training on how to create urgency, and I'll leave a link below this video. If if you're ever interested in how to create urgency, if you're in sales, I imagine that you want to know how to do that. But it's interesting because it was a little bit different from any traditional meeting channel that I've had, and it really went deep into the understanding of what influences us. And I hope, in essence, that you learn a few things from that video where you can bring it into your sales floor. And I want you to really experiment with it, because these are very impactful triggers, is what I called them. And sales and communication and influence and what we believe is saying, I'm a closer. What that person really is, they're just a more effective communicator. And so if we understand that this component of communications plays such a massive role in our life, it's meaning that it's going to be the root cause of our success, or it's going to be the root cause of our failure. And it all has to do with communication. And knowing that today, what you have right now, regardless of the past, regardless of what you believe in the past, regardless of your experience in the past, I'm talking about right now. If you just drew a line in the sand and said, you know what, I'm not going to pay attention to the past, I'm going to just look forward, and what's in front of me is all that I care about. The only time that I'm going to look past or behind me is to recognize how far I've climbed, not to bring in the past with me, not to bring in any fear with me. And if we looked forward and said, you know what, from now that I understand it's communication, and now that I understand that I am in a far better position than all of my elders, all of the generations behind me, I have this almost handicap, right? I've got like this cheat code, this kind of this I want to say the supplement, right? Like I have this opportunity, perfect word, opportunity, where communications in itself has never been as strong as it is today. We can do so much in communication. I can literally take this phone out and Google, how do I make a cheetah hat, right? Cheetah skin hat, whatever, just anything random. I could type it into a search engine, hit a button, and then have all the answers. I'll have more than one answer. And that's how fast communication is. Or I can look up on YouTube, like how to fix my kitchen sink, right? And then right away I'll pull it up. Or how to change my oil, or how to do literally anything. The communication in itself is powerful. I can send a DM to the President of the United States. I can send a DM to one of my favorite actors, right, or actresses, or hip hop artists, or music artists. Anyone and everyone. I can find a way to connect with them and communicate with them. And so now the question is, now that we understand what is the root cause of our success or our demise, what are we going to do with it now? Because now this is where the internal communication comes into play. Your internal dialogue is just as important as your external dialogue. What you say to yourself and how you take action internally is the root of all communication. Before it comes out externally, before it comes out of your mouth, before it comes out of your body language, before it comes out of your eyes, at the end of the day, it's going to root externally. So if it starts internally, root internally. So if it starts off internally, like, oh, yo, D, you got this, or watch, I'm gonna figure this out, or I'm gonna get past this, or I'm going to understand this, or I'm going to take control, I'm going to improve, I need improvement, I am improving. This is how it should root. But the problem is that most of society sounds more like this. Oh, it's because of them. Or, oh, I could never do that. Or, that's way too hard. Or, I'll just wait. Or, that's just not for me. That's how the internal dialogue roots, and this is why the body language, the effort, the energy, the communication externally is changed. Right? It's like a hint of settlement. And I don't ever want you to get there. As a matter of fact, I want to help bring you to the top. So whether you follow me or you don't, at the end of the day, I'm going to be up there. And for those of you who do, I'm going to see you at the top. I appreciate your time in watching this video, and I hope that it does ring a bell. Speaking of bell, hit that bell and hit that subscribe button, and definitely tag someone on here or comment below. Let me know what your takeaway was on this video. If you're catching this on Facebook, let me get a heart. Tag somebody or share this video link on your feed, and make sure that people are aware of this one component that just plays so much of a big role in our lives. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye.